Hello and welcome to PM Express, and today we are talking about the all-important education. Well, teachers are being told that now before you step into a classroom you have to have a valid license. Indeed, there are so many other professions who have licenses, and teachers are now joining the licensing fraternity. However, teachers are saying, listen, we write about 40 different exams by the time we have finished training school. You know, so many exams, plus we go outside and we are monitored as how do we teach. Is there any chance at all by which you can incorporate whatever it is going to be in these licenses in there? So by the time we come out, we are fully licensed, or do we need to come out and get licensed? There are those who are already on the field who now also have to join this licensing regime. Some teachers are not happy about it. Some think, well, maybe it will help. Why? Because at the moment, anybody at all can just walk into the classroom and say, I'm a teacher. So why don't you just put a level playing field for all of us, and then we can know who is a teacher and who's not. My question is, there are some who are graduate teachers. There are some who are, middle school leavers and are also teachers. But are they going to have a different category of licensing for everybody, or it's going to be a blanket playing field? There are some people you see and you wonder, how did they get through training college? Their demeanor, their dressing, their language, their pronunciation, their being doesn't tell anything at all as a teacher, yet they somehow come. Is this what the licensing is going to sort of stop? That those who manage to sneak through the training colleges, maybe the license will then filter them off? Because indeed it is absolutely imperative that the best of the best of the best teach, and then those below become teachers and scientists. But we seem to have reversed it, where the least teach, and then the best of the best become doctors. Who is going to bring out the next generation doctors, chiefs, presidents? And that's a big question for us all to think about and deliberate. Should teachers be licensed or not? That's the conversation. My name is Nana Sakwa the Fourth, Chief of the Little Republic, the Little Republic ruled by a chief. Adumasa. When I come back, we're talking education. Don't go. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we are looking and asking the big questions. Should teachers be licensed or not? And if yes, what format? If no, why? But with me in the studio is big teacher, president of NAGRA, Angel Carbonu. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Nana. Thank you very much, Nana.
Great. And what's brought about this licensing regime?
Well, Nana, before I start talking about the licensing regime, let me first salute the men and women who have taught us in those days, from the 40s to the 50s to the 60s, who have churned out great men like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our chief justices, members of parliament, great teachers. And I think that when we put the balance sheet on the table, teachers have really performed, and they've produced the men and women that we have in this country. The interesting thing about education is that education is like life. It can never be static. And every day, new ways of educating people are experimented and are discovered. Also because society itself is dynamic. So teaching, education, delivery ought to also be dynamic. What brought about licensing is the thinking by people, or some people, that when teachers are licensed, they'll perform better. I beg to differ from that type of thinking. People sit down and say, well, what don't we have? We have the certificates, we have the degrees, we have the education. Why are we not getting the results we want? Okay, let's also try the licensing. But I say that the teacher unions, in principle, do not have a problem with licensing. But the teacher union believe that to license a teacher without the provision of the requisite facilities, without the creation of the enabling environment for teaching and learning to take place, will just be a piece of paper in the hands of the teacher and just a means of renewal that will create money for some people. That is what it is. When a teacher goes to university for 4 good years to study education, how to teach, what will a 1-day or 2-day licensure exam change as compared to the 4 years that that teacher is studied in school, or the 3 years that is studied in College of Education? When a teacher gets a beautiful license, and as you said, the teacher does not have confidence, the teacher does not believe in himself, the teacher does not have control, innovation, the teacher does not know how to employ and vary teaching methods and styles to be able to address issues that confront him or her, then that piece of paper called a license will just be in his hands. Unfortunately, in this country, instead of creating this sense to the teacher and making the teacher believe that the license is a tool to empower him, the license is a means by which his confidence will be boosted, that his wherewithal will be enhanced. Unfortunately, when you hear statements made by certain people, whenever teachers are licensed, then we go and weed out all the bad nuts. But if anyone thinks that the teacher unions are going to sit by for the license to be a means by which teachers are made unemployed easily, that person is just deluding himself. There are aspects of labor law how to engage and disengage a worker, and the mere revocation of a person's license will not be enough to disengage a worker who is working in the public service. But rather, I want us to look at a licensing regime that is going to empower the teacher, that is going to enhance the teacher's wherewithal, so that the teacher delivers well in the teaching environment. That is the type of thinking and direction I want us to go.
Could you not look at it from the other side, where there are some bad nuts who are giving the teacher a bad name, and that maybe these licenses will come and then redeem? There they go. These were the guys who were not, couldn't cut it, but yet still were in there, giving us a bad name.
Drivers are licensed in Ghana, but don't we still have bad drivers driving on our roads and killing people on a daily basis?
No, you see, with a teacher one, you would need the license to go into the classroom.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but when you take the drivers, if we do things properly in this country, you will need the driving license to go onto the road. You need a medical doctor's license to practice as a medical doctor. We have enough rules and regulation in the Ghana Education Service to be able to check those who are not performing according to establishment. When we all apply the rules the way it is supposed to be applied, when we intensify supervision, when we develop continuous professional development activities, and making those activities available to the teacher, for the teacher to realize that before I progress on the career ladder, I will have to avail myself to CPDs. And I'm talking about properly structured CPDs, that after a course, you realize that you are a better teacher than you entered that program. Not a program that is done to satisfy conditions, but a program that is done to change people. We have people who have first-class degrees in teaching, but someone will have to teach him the practical ways of teaching a child how to read. If you do not know how to teach a child how to read, you may have a first class in English language in the university, but it doesn't mean that you know how to teach a child how to read. Do you have the sociological strength as an individual to identify that I am teaching in a village, and that the village cultural setting is different from the city cultural setting, and that the type of examples that I give when I'm teaching is different from the urban setting? In the village, the tendency for a child to withdraw when you shout at a child is totally different from, let's say, an urban area like Medina or Nima or something like that. Are you, the teacher, able to identify this, and that your approach and your attitude will have to be such that the children in the village will come to terms with you? These things are built whilst you are on the job, and you acquire these skills through in-service training. And an in-service training that should be regular. We have not been able to even establish peer training systems in our school. where if you are a teacher more experienced than I, then I could have a way of learning from you, a mentorship system, you understand, and so on and so forth. This is what is going to change education in this country. I don't think, I don't have a problem with the licensing, but I don't think that the mere, as at now, it's a new thing. There is a furore about it. There is sentimental thing about it. But I can assure you, if we are not too careful, after some years, it will become the regular feature. We will not have solved anything.
Wow. You would have rather we channel our energy towards like learning materials?
Absolutely. You see, when you do not have learning materials, and I'm talking about appropriate learning materials, because when you make improvisation, what you do is that you may misteach the child. Appropriate learning material provided by the employer. Look, if you create a school scene and you provide a desk, and then the proper teaching materials are not there, if someone is teaching geography, the Ghana maps are not there, the globe is not there, the Stevenson screen is not there, so that you can teach proper weather and so on and so forth. No matter how you flog the teacher will be like a donkey that you are overflogging and it is not moving. You understand? So the teaching learning materials are not there. And then secondly, whilst you provide this teaching learning material, ask yourself whether you have created an environment for the teacher to be able to exonerate himself positively in the environment that you have created. What motivation do you have? Motivation is not just a question of salaries and allowances that you give to people, but the motivation to be proud and be satisfied in the work that you do. You get me? And to also recognize that West Africa's Examination Council results is not a complete determinant of a child's ability and capabilities. And that how have we been able to train our children to fit into society anytime and wherever he or she finds himself. That is something that we have to develop in this country. We are still seized with this certificate mentality and judging performance by West Africa Examination Council results. You understand? I listened to the deputy minister who was ranking heads of schools just based on the credits that they make in West Africa. Then I said, oh, there we go again. So, for example, if there is a school in a region that is performing very well in sports activities, I don't know whether how the minister factored, the deputy minister factored that in. If we have a school that's unlike other schools engages in cultural and social activities, I don't know how the minister factored that in. You understand? But he just took the credit and said that this headmaster is performing better than this headmaster. And when you do that, you are losing it from my personal point of view. So I want an educational environment that is created for the child to feel loved, the child to feel belonged, to go to school and desire to go to school. The teacher also sees the environment as the well-established environment for me to exonerate myself as a teacher, to produce students who will be worthwhile for the development of our society. That is what I'm looking forward to.
I've always called for an educational revolution. And in my revolution, I've always said that the upgrading of the teacher is paramount. I thought this licensing thing would have been, part of the thing. I mean, what does the licensing entail anyway?
Well, you complete your college of education, be it what we call former teacher training college or the university. The teacher training colleges are now colleges of education, or the university, that is Cape Coast, that is either Winneba or any degree, education degree. Now, when you come out, you are expected to come and write a licensure exam. And then the licensure exam gives you the right to practice. You see, let us also do a separation, because I was talking to a lawyer who said the licensing is only a document that gives you the right to practice, but it has nothing to do with your qualification or your certification. The qualification and certification is the degree or diploma that you get from the training institution. That is giving you the methodology and the content strength to be able to impact knowledge. All that the licensing does is the right to practice. So to establish a relationship between the right to practice and the ability to practice, we are missing it altogether.
Wow.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
When you go to the university to study education, you understand?
Yeah.
You should be able to acquire the needed competences, the knowledge, the content strength. So when you stand in front of a child to deliver, say, history, or to deliver, say, economics, you have the content strength and the knowledge to be able to deliver history or economics to the child, not to misinform the child. The styles and the methodology you adopt in the teaching is acquired through your training institution. When you acquire all these things and you pass, then you come and take a licensure exam to practice. If anyone is formulating a licensure exam to determine the academic competence of a teacher, you are wrong. The licensure exam of a nurse cannot be equated to the training that the nurse had in the nursing training institution or the medical school. The license is only a document that enables you by law or within the confines of the law to practice.
Actually, is the license also somewhere in there to say that, look, you're fit and capable with maybe numeracy and literacy, or you're updated?
That is acquired in the training institution. That is acquired in the training institution, not in the licensure exams. Because the licensure exam is totally inadequate to be able to determine that.
Could that be that maybe there are lots of people slipping out of the training institution who probably shouldn't have, and therefore
they'll be checked by the license?
Yeah, they'll be checked by the license.
It's absolutely impossible. Because let somebody goes to university for 4 years. That is 8 semesters. And I've taken mid-semester and end-of-semester exam in different fields of endeavor. And the person is able to pass through. How will a 2-day licensure exam correct the deficiency of someone who has been in the university for 4 years? I don't know how that can be. That can absolutely not be.
No, see, the reason why I'm saying is that there are people, or there are certain teachers, some, few, I don't think it's many, but there are few teachers who should definitely not have made it to a classroom.
Absolutely.
Could this be a second one after you've managed to dodge all your 8 semesters? This one is the one that says, no way, look, with this grammar, with this arithmetic, you're not going in a classroom.
What about if you're able to dodge this one too?
Oh, it's just a second check. It's probably not 100%, but at least it will filter it down.
I have seen someone with a first class in physics who came to a secondary school to teach, and he was a horrible teacher. And I've seen someone with a mere pass who is a very wonderful teacher. Teachers are born, not made. It should be innate, and then you'll be able to express yourself. The teacher comes to teach, and he has about 30 years of his career span. What have we been able to institute in the Ghana Education Service to be able to identify and correct teachers who are weak? Some in delivery, some may have the content, but the art of communication, the art of delivery, they do not have. What in-service training program is able to push people to be able to get out of that deficiency that they have? There are some teachers who lack the confidence in even facing children confidently and imparting knowledge. What do we have in the system that can correct that? You understand? Some also have emotional problems. What do we have in the system that can correct that? You know, so it's a journey. It's a whole lot of things. That is why when someone comes out of the university and is teaching, you have to be under some level of tutelage from very experienced men and women in the service, who will help him come out of the problems of inertia to be able to also deliver the way he or she is supposed to deliver. I don't think that the licensure exam is a net to be able to get those who have been able to sleep. Other than that, we are also saying, therefore, that our universities are inadequate and that our universities are churning out people who are not supposed to come out.
Well, I'm going to take a quick break and we'll come back, but it's getting interesting. You know, we'll also look at the numbers that are coming in. Stay tuned, we're coming back. Well, we're looking at whether teachers should be licensed or not. And I just wanted to twist the conversation a little bit and then come back to licensing. But the sheer numbers that are coming in and the class sizes, some of them, three, some teachers have 3-4 classes, like all put into one. So whether with licensing or not, with these numbers, I mean, how much quality, with all the best intentions, what can be done?
When we talk about standards in this country, we only talk about standards from the point of view of what is expected of the teacher. We shy to talk about the standard of the school environment. What infrastructural environment fits the standard of a secondary school as prescribed by educational authorities in this country? Talk to any top official of the Ghana Education Service and ask, what is the standard class size in Ghana? As many people you talk to will give you many numbers. Some will say 40, some will say 35. They are giving you those numbers because they know that when we start talking about the workable class size, then teachers will begin to demand for a reduction in class size. That what it means is that you need more teachers. But you do not develop class size based on the problem. You develop class size to solve a problem. In the United States, for example, I have done education observation in Virginia, and the class size is 25.
Wow.
If the principal of the school wants to increase beyond the 25, you need to seek permission from the district education authority and justify why you need to add one more student. The purpose is they want a very good interaction between the teacher and the student to get positive education outcome. Now, when you come down to this country, you don't expect me to give you the same outcome that a teacher who is superintending over 25 students is giving.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. Absolutely impossible.
And not that you don't want to.
Not that you don't want to. It's just not possible. Okay? Now, so what that means is that as a nation, we need to also ask ourselves, how many students should a teacher superintend over at one time? If we are able to follow through 25, 30, then we need double the number of teachers that we have today. And then we also need double the classrooms we have today to be able to get that type of environment that we're talking about. The next thing that we ask ourselves is that what should be in the school to make the school properly functional? So I think that when we are talking about standards in education, those are the areas that we have to look at. Those are the areas that we have to look at. Now, the numbers, look, the numbers that come out, you have even attempted here in this very studio to get to the genealogy of the problem. That insofar as we do not check and control our population, the numbers will keep rising. But we are not able to come to terms, we are not able to develop infrastructure to come to terms with the numbers. Today we are talking about Ghana's population being around 27 to 30 million. 10 years ago we were talking around 14 million. So in the next 20 years, what are we going to see in this country? It will get to a point where we may not be able to manage the situation. So long as the numbers keep increasing, then you also have to be increasing the number of schools. You have to be increasing the number of teachers. And if you want to keep pace with positive outcomes, then we also have to be reducing the size of classes to make it manageable for the teacher to be able to teach. Other than that, we are just gaming with ourselves, pretending that we will be getting any results from the things that we do currently. That is how I see it. The numbers will keep increasing because we have not reduced the number of children that we produce. And so long as we don't reduce the teachers have to find school anyway. That is where the problem is coming from.
Wow, that's a big one. I mean, this licensing, it looks like they are set that it would come to be.
We don't have a problem. We don't have a problem. Nurses have been going for licensure exam. I've not even seen any nurse out of a nursing college of education, nursing training college, go to write a licensure exam and fail. I mean, I've not heard that yet. You understand? So I don't think that unless in our service, which is the Ghana Education Service or the teaching fraternity, we have decided to be introducing large number of failures so we can justify and say we told you that a lot of people who were coming in were not the best. But I don't see how. And if they start doing that, then we'll start have to interrogate the type of examination that they are even giving, because I don't see why someone will go to a college of education or go to university, pass university degree, and the person will face the licensure exam. So the moment we start getting that even 15% of people are failing, then we'll have to start raising hue and cry. We'll have to start raising hue and cry and even do an audit of the type of examination that is being conducted there anyway.
I don't know. If you're a science teacher, are you getting a science license? If you are a history teacher, are you getting a literacy teacher? If you're an arithmetic teacher, are you getting an arithmetic license?
Well, I think that to teach in the secondary school, you will have to get education in the field that you want to teach. For example, if you are a science teacher, then you will have to be trained in science. So you have to get a certification as a science teacher. If you're a geography teacher, you should have done geography. If you're a history teacher, you should have done history, that sort of thing. So the certificate that you get from the university, that even qualifies you to teach, is already in specific subjects. Now, when you get to the basic school, you need to have general education to be able to teach in the basic school. Like medical doctors, the license is not specific to the specific medical practice, but the license is the general medical license that you get. And then the service that you operate will have rules and regulation to make sure you function within. For example, if you are not a surgeon, you cannot go and operate as a surgeon because you are not trained, you don't have the certification as a surgeon. Though you have a medical doctor, you have the license as a medical doctor. So that is how we see it. Now, there are also people who have come out of the colleges of education who have not gone to teach in the classroom. But they have their education. Like lawyers, it is not every lawyer who goes to court to practice, but they are lawyers. They still renew their license. You understand? So what type of licensing regime are we talking about? That is what we have written to the NTC, so that we meet and discuss the nitty-gritties of the licensing regime. That is going to be the part of the condition of service that the teacher. So the issuance of the license is not the issue. The operationalization of the licensing regime will have to be negotiated by the representative of the teachers.
Do you think it will increase the profile or the image of the teacher?
It could. It could. That you go to look for work, you have a certificate in education, you have a certificate in an aspect that you want to teach. In addition to that, you show that I've been licensed by the teaching council. So then it's okay. Well, it enhances your profile. You know. So that is an added document to the documents that you have. But as to whether that can automatically culminate in a better teacher, that is a different story altogether. Look, Nana, two teachers are given a teaching job to do. One is given 40 minutes, and the other one is given 1 hour. A very good teacher can maximize the time within the 40 minutes better than someone who has 1 hour. Productivity, time on task, the use of time properly to achieve results. That's why when this whole new policy came, they say they are extending the time. I said the extension of time by itself does not change issues. You understand? You can give a teacher 2 hours and the net result produced will not be anything appreciable, right? So, yes, as you asked, it can enhance the teacher's profile, but we are more concerned in telling the employer that the best way of enhancing the teacher's performance is to ensure that at every step of the time in the teacher's progression profile, we have continuous professional education models provided by the employer. And now once the employer provides it, the onus is on the teacher to avail himself to those CPD models that have been provided by the employer.
Again, let me, you're hard to get. Now that I've got you, let me twist you a bit. I had you in here, and I think we did a show that, you know, after free SHS, you know, then what?
Yeah.
Is this something that concerns the teacher, or yours that, listen, you bring them to me, after I finish, I give them to you, I'm done? Or does the teaching fraternity also wonder, look, after we are done with them, what happens?
No, we are very interested. As a union, we should be very interested. Because, look, when you teach thousands and thousands of students in grammar education in this country, and then they come out and they are walking the street, it's a concern to you. It means that the ultimate objective of your exercise have not been realized. And that problem you have talked about is the type of educational system we operate in this country. We are operating an educational system that is purely grammar education. It's dead. Its time is past. China did not develop based on this type of education. Japan did not develop based on this type of education, where you go and do some readings, analyzing issues. No, that is not how the Asian tigers developed, because they introduced into the educational mix manipulative activities that can make the student come out to be able to produce something tangible. That made the student become employable, either by himself or by other industries. Because then that's why you have those economies that produce and produce en masse. Our type of education is not developing anybody into that field. Or the number of people, look, the worst aspect of our education is in vocational technical. I have suggested that if we want to produce those type of students who can employ themselves and be employed by people, the Wesley Girls, the St. Mary's, the Presec, the Achimota should be mandated to start opening vocational technical departments. So that when children in that area see that they are in Achimota and they are studying vocational technical subjects, after they are studying it where? In Achimota. They are studying it in Wesley Girls. They are studying it in Holy Child. Then the technical universities can have more students, because we have had more students doing those courses in senior high school that can supply the technical universities. And then when they come out, we'll be able to have a producing environment and people will get more jobs. That is called all-inclusive education.
Let me take a break here and I will continue on definitely on that trajectory. Don't go away. Well, thank you very much for staying. You're watching PM Express and we're discussing teacher, we are discussing education, and I have here the president of NAGRA, Angel Carbonu. Angel admits, anytime I hear you talk about this, I feel the passion. Is there ever going to be a time that we'll put the brakes on and say, listen, let's come to the table and decide what it is we want for our country with regards to education? Or have we passed that stage?
We don't have a choice to start now, or else we'll be left behind. Nana, you asked me whether we are not interested in what happened to our products. Nana, for every 10, and I've said this here before, for every 10 young men you attempt to employ to come and tile your house for you, there is a possibility that 6 of them come from Togo. For every 10 young men you come and do plaster of Paris for you, there's a possibility that 6 of them come from Togo. What it means is that you don't even have the men and women to do the job that matter. Now, do you know how much an artisan collects per day? That is 60 Ghana cedis per day.
Yeah.
Most of them even don't pay tax to anybody. How many teachers make 60 Ghana per day? Hardly. So we are very interested. But I spoke once to the former rector of Sunyani Polytechnic. Those days it was Polytechnic, where I was accusing the polytechnics of having majority of students doing things like marketing, human resource, purchasing and supply, and all those things, and rather not the core technical and vocational subjects. So the principal became alarmed. Maybe I was bashing them too much. Then he called in and said, "Gentlemen, if I wanted to take 80% of the type of students you are talking about, I wouldn't get them. Because how many secondary schools in this country run those programs anyway? So the students should even be available for me to take them. So the students are not even available.
So from kindergarten, we just start
even
grammar.
Those students who go and do the technical vocational subjects, when they don't do too well and they see that they are having obstacles in progressing, then they go and add certain grammar courses. They do it and they go to university to go and do philosophy and psychology and Greco-Roman history. So we are very concerned, but that thing talks about a huge paradigm shift in the type of subjects, in the type of courses that we run in secondary school. I am of the view that every secondary school in this country should have a technical department, should have a vocational department, should have a science department before we have the other department. The students should choose to go to pre-sec to do technical courses. The students should choose to go to Achimota to do vocational programs. The students should choose to go to St. Rose's to do science program. That is when we can give practical meaning to the institution we call technical universities.
Now you're the president of NAGRAT. You have lots of unions, but can the union heads sit and call government and say, listen, enough is enough?
At the end of most of our council meetings, we come out with communique. Most of the issues we talk about communique may not necessarily be issues of our conditions of service or salary, but we get into these areas to call on government to do this, to call on government to do that. The question is whether the governments that we have in this country have the confidence, have the political will to be able to start this aggressive. Because for the parents, most parents, the moment you talk about vocational technical education, say, no, I don't want my children to go there. No, I want my child to be a lawyer. We have countries where we have so many lawyers that they are not even getting jobs to do. And Ghana may gradually be getting there. Oh, no, I don't want that. I want my child, but I don't want my child to become a mason because we have that parochial and limited understanding of building. So we need to also change society. So we are very concerned, Nana, very, very, very concerned because we are part of the society. And if we get a lot of unemployed youth, it will also affect us adversely.
Because in 2 years, the wave of those who tasted free education will be out to face society and will have to make a decision as to whether they are going into tertiary or they are going into technical or they are coming to the job world.
Yeah, if they go into tertiary, what type of tertiary? Because what courses are they doing in the secondary school? Now we've opened the floodgates. We are saying that the BEC is no longer a limitation barrier. Therefore, everybody should come to senior high school to give senior high school education to as many children as possible. Good idea. As many children as possible to go and do what program? As many children as possible creating what for the future? Are they all going to go to the university and go to the humanities department? Or we have, in opening the floodgates, we have also given wide variety of options. Why should somebody need someone who is going to do technical vocational course in a technical university? Why should the person make a C in English language? Why? If the person makes a C in mathematics or science, I don't have a problem. But why English language? So why are we limiting even the fee of assessing the course that is more demonstrative? So this is something that we have to look at. It is the same programs that we used to do during the days of Nkrumah, Buzia, and Achampong. These are the same program we are doing in the secondary schools. But with the free senior high school opening the floodgate, can we expand the programs and give more opportunities to people to go to secondary school, not only assess geography and history, but to assess technical vocational programs? That is how we can solve the problem of the numbers. But if we think that we're going to do these same courses, then we are pushing all of them to the gates of the universities. And I can assure you, the universities may crack under this yoke.
Because at the moment, I hear to get a hostel is an absolute nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
Some of the stories coming out are unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You literally need to pay a bribe.
Yeah. And if you see where some of our daughters and sons sleep, because they want to live close by the universities and prevent themselves from the distraction of the home, go and check where some of our daughters and sons sleep to assess university education. God will just have to be on our side.
Oh, back to the teacher. So what's the 20th century or 21st century teacher in Ghana? What's going to be of the 21st century teacher in Ghana?
The 21st century teacher should be somebody who is prepared to equip himself with technological knowledge and be able to apply and use technology in his content delivery. That is number one. That's what I see as number one. I'm just coming from the training of our district officers of NAGRAT. It took place at our NAGRAT Lyceum. And I said that I have a difficulty in seeing a 21st century teacher still writing his lesson notes with pen and paper in a notebook. The 21st century teacher should write his lesson notes paperless. And the 21st century district director should be able to access the contents of teacher's lesson note through soft copy by communication. So give me your email as my director and I'll transfer my lesson note to you. That I see as a 21st century, because the child is not waiting for us. The child knows technology. The child wants to play with technology. The child, information is so available to the child now than before. And if you, the teacher, you do not equip yourself in the use of technology, you'll be left behind. The 21st century teacher should be result-oriented. Results not only in the ABC in history or geography, but result in making sure that I have been able to produce somebody to society who can be a worthwhile citizen unto society and unto him or herself. That is the type of teacher. And a 21st century teacher is someone I see to be confident in himself, not docile. And some managers of education still believe that the docile teacher is the respectful teacher. You understand? That some of us, we have been written out as too radical for
too outspoken.
Too outspoken.
2 minutes. Let me see if I can get this one out of you. Is there any way we can bridge the gap between the urban and rural education? Can it be bridged a little bit?
Nana, I have been told by some uncles of mine that in those days of old, people were moving their children from schools in Accra to go and school in the village. And they came out as good students. Today, that is a no-go area. In a village, Edumasa, I know what you have done to change teaching and learning in the school in Edumasa. I do know. If we are able to introduce the systems to the schools in the village, then the education outcome will have to be positive. And they even have a more peaceful environment for the children to be able to learn, because in Accra, the distractions are too many. But we unfortunately neglect the village schools. because I don't know whether we believe they are far away from us. You understand? We should concentrate on the village schools, and the rural schools.
All too soon, that's what time will allow us, but let me gladly and happily invite you to the 10th anniversary of the Standpoint Women Call to Worship is on the 1st of September. Saturday at the Trinity Baptist Church opposite IPS. You need to come and definitely say, join us to say thank you to God. So I say, well done to the Standpoint, 10 years old. 1st September, Saturday, Women Call to Worship, 12 noon sharp. Be there. We'll look forward to seeing you. But thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for watching. We'll be back to do this all over again. Education, it's my passion. Don't go away.